So guys, this week Gaijin actually added something very cool for IR missiles that use the FOV IRCCM, right? That IRCCM that shrinks the FOV of the IR seeker of the missile to pretty much just ignore or try to ignore a larger part of the airspace that you are locking on, making sure that you are not looking at flares or anything with that. And with that, the missile would basically be able to ignore flares, right? So how it works is that, of course, these IRCCM is already something that it's been going on for a very long time, but they implemented these for not only when you launch the missile, but when you lock the missile. So every time you are locking the missile, when you get the tone and the red, circle, the FOV IRCCM is already doing its job. Although it doesn't feel like because the UI doesn't change, but the IRCCM is already working there. So this change implemented this week, completely changes missiles like the R-73, the Magic 2, etc., right? So let's show to you guys how this works in an actual battle for you to have a feeling of how good this thing is, because it actually produces two things that we're going to talk about. The first thing is that you basically know when to shoot the missile now, and when to not shoot the missile, when it's a risk to shoot the missile, and when it's a guaranteed kill if you shoot the missile, right? And the second thing, it makes it up to be a little bit easier for you to actually just get a lock and shoot a missile very quickly, So let's get to the examples for you to see how much this, improves gameplay with these missiles. So here we are with the Mirage 4000 with the Magic, and noticed that I fired a missile there, but look, I got a lock and I'm waiting for flares. See, the flares are not drawing the missile. The missile that he fired is not drawing the missile seeker, and not even the sun that it's just up there, it's basically not drawing the attention of the missile, right? So you can see clearly how this is working. The IRCCM is already working before the launch, when you already only have a lock. So the flares, it's ignoring the missile, the sun, everything is being ignored by the IRCCM, or by the missile seeker, right, with the IRCCM. And with that, you can clearly have a clear shot. So if you see that the flares are not drawing the attention of the seeker, it means that if you fire the missile, the IRCCM will already be in a distance that it will basically ignore all flares, right? It is ignoring the sun. It is ignoring everything. So it's a lot easier to just notice or decide when to shoot your missile with this. And of course, it is a lot easier to maintain a lock as well, because obviously the missile is not pulling and you don't have to keep resetting the actual lock, to be able to fire the missile. Here we have another example with the R-73 with the MiG-29G over here against an F4, right? The principle is pretty much the same, but notice that I'm still very far away here. The Magic 2 and the R-73s, they have pretty much the same IRCCM. So you can see that I'm far away. The IRCCM is not working, so I can, decide when to fire the missile. So it's pretty good. See, now it's ignoring completely the flares. Did you see that? Let's see it again. So here we are again, trying to attack the F4, and you will notice that initially I'm too far away, so the IRCCM doesn't close the FOV enough, and the IRCCM, seeker will go to the flare. I have to reset the seeker, wait to get a little bit closer, and then I will fire the missile because I'm close enough. And see how I try to just get a lock for the second missile. He's firing flares, but the missile is not picking up the flares. It was just picking up the target. So you can clearly see the advantage that this change has in all these missiles that use the IRCCM of the FOV type. It is, although I know maybe a small change for the average person, but to be honest, for For the more like keen players that are really paying attention, you will notice that this makes a huge difference when you are firing missiles with this type of IRCCM. We can even go here to the spreadsheet that was made by Zabi and let me just get and Kopani, of course, that basically shows all the specs of the missiles that we have in the game, right? And here you can clearly see what missiles will be affected by this. So all the missiles that will have a yes on the IRCCM and the FOV type over here will have this effect. They will have the IRCCM working from the get-go when you get a lock and not from the launch. It's a small change, but it completely changes these missiles when you're launching them. So R-73, R-73E, Magic 2, of course, are the main ones that everybody talks about, but we have others like the R-27s, you know, the ETs, ET1, the T and the T1, they will all have that as well. Of course, since you can see that FOV is a larger one, 1.33 degrees compared to 0.75 of the other ones, it would mean that you will need to get closer for the FOV really to start ignoring, right? The other ones, of course, Python 4 is not in the game yet, and then we have the PL8B, which in game right now has that as well, and the PL5E2 that also has that. So the PL5E2, the PL8B, the R-73, the R-27s, Ts, you know, the ETs and Ts, and the Magic 2s will all have that. Initially, it was a fix that was only going to come to the Magic 2, but they introduced it for all the missiles. So yeah, pretty significant change with just a small little thing. Now, you know, it's working the IRCCM from the get-go, from the lock, instead of just the launch. Okay, so this is it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. See you.